Hello, people. In last lecture, we had discussed about the bacteria, fungi, viruses, protozoa, algae. So today we have to start from microscope. So here, this microscope is an instrument which is used to observe those specimens which we cannot see by the naked eyes. So microscope are of different types: compound light microscope, dark field microscope, phase contrast microscope, differential interference contrast microscope, fluorescence microscope, and confocal microscopes. So microscope are made up of a different parts. So these parts are body tube, nose piece, eyepiece, objective lens, stage clips, diaphragm, light source, chorus adjustment knob, fine adjustment knob, base, and ocular lenses. So this first part that is called as a eyepiece lenses. So eyepiece lenses are having a magnification of 10x. This magnification is constant. Magnification of eyepiece is constant, that is called as a 10x. Then objective are of different magnification: 10x, 40x, and 100x. The role of the objective lens to focus the light rays which are coming through the diaphragm to condenser. So that light rays, it will going to be collected by the objective lenses, and it will focus on the specimen that we have to be observed. Body tube which hold these eyepiece lenses. Then through the eyepiece we can see the specimen. Eyepiece is used to observe the specimen. The magnifying power of the eyepiece is 10x. Then chorus adjustment knob and fine adjustment knob. So these are the two part which are main part: chorus adjustment knob and fine adjustment knob. So these two adjustment knob are help in adjust improving the focus of the low power lenses. So here chorus adjustment knob, it will help to improve the focus of low power, and fine adjustment knob, it will help in adjusting the focus of the lenses. So these are the main functions of this adjustment knob. Then diaphragm, it is located on the lower surface of the stage. It is used to control the amount of light that reaches the specimen. Then stage is the platform on which we can keep the slide and specimen. So this platform below the objective lens on which we can keep the object to be observed. Objective lenses are there, so more than one objective lenses are present in the microscope: 4x, 5x, 10x, 20x, 40x, 50x, and 100x. So most commonly are 10x, 40x, and 100x. These three objective lenses are present on the microscope. Eyepiece is used to observe the specimen. So these are the parts of the microscope: eyepiece, objective lens, stage clip, diaphragm, fine adjustment knob, chorus adjustment knob. Then magnification and resolving power. These are the two main properties of the microscope. Magnification is the ability of enlargement of image, that is called as a magnification. And resolving power means ability of that microscope to distinguish between the 2 points. Ability of the lenses to distinguish between these 2 points, that is called as a resolution. So these two parameters are interrelated with one another. If you are increasing the magnification, resolution will going to be decrease, and if you are decreasing the magnification, resolution will going to be increase. So this is a inverse relationship between these two parameter: magnification and resolution. If you are increasing the magnifying power, at the same time resolution will going to be decrease, and if you are decreasing the magnifying power, resolution will going to be increase. So your microscope, it should be such that the resolving power, it should be higher, then and then it will going to be clearly seen the image. So resolving power, it is most important parameters or properties of the microscope: resolving power, magnification, and one more, that is called as a refractive index. It is a light bending ability of the medium. So these parameters we have to be keep optimum. So if you have to calculate the magnifying power of the microscope, So we have to multiply the magnifying power of eyepiece multiplied by magnifying power of objective lens. So if you are multiplying magnifying power of objective lens and magnifying power of eyepiece, we can get the total magnification of that microscope. uh, Microscope mostly has a three magnifications: scanning, low and high. If scanning is there, suppose magnification is 4x and your eyepiece is having a magnifying power 10x, so total magnifications of that microscope it is 40x. If it is a low power objective lens is there, that is called as a 10x, and eyepiece magnifying power is 10x, so 10x multiplied by 10x, total magnification is 100x. Then if your objective lens it is of 40x, then eyepiece power is 10x, then 40 multiplied by 10, so total magnification is 400x. Next point is that some person a development a brief history of microbiology. So there are some person who was given a significant contribution to this field of microbiology. So in that first one, that's called as the Aristotle and others, they believe that the living organism could develop from non-living material also. So this Aristotle, who was proved that thing, a living organism we could develop from the non-living material. Then another one person, Hans and Jensen, who was produced a first compound microscope in 1590. Then Robert Hooke is also a person who was published a micrographia drawings and detailed observations of the biological material made with the best compound microscope, Robert Hooke, in 1660. Then another one person, Anton von Leeuwenhoek, in 1676, is the first person who observed the microscope, who observed the microorganism under the light microscope. That is Anton von Leeuwenhoek in 1676. Then 1883, a person Carl Zeiss and Abe, who was pioneered the development in microscopy. Then Ernst Ruska, who constructed the first electron microscope, that is called as a Ernst Ruska, who constructed the first electron microscope. Electron microscope is somewhat higher versions of the compound light microscope. The resolving power of the electron microscope is higher than the light microscope. Resolving power is higher than the light microscope. Uh, there are two types of the electron microscope: scanning electron microscope and transmission electron microscope. Scanning electron microscope and transmission electron microscope, both they will going to be utilize the electron beam as a source of light. They will utilize the electron beam as a source of light. In the compound light microscope, the source of light is sunlight, but in case of this electron microscope, a source of light is electron beam. Electrons are the negatively charged electrical particle, so it will utilize as a source of light in case of electron microscope. There are two types: scanning and transmission. This electron microscope, it is mostly it is used in the research work. It will give higher resolution as compared with the compound light microscope. Resolving power of this electron microscope somewhat is higher than the light microscope. Then apart from this electron microscope, phase contrast microscope, bright field, dark field, these are different types of microscope, which will also giving the higher resolution. On one another, that is called the fluorescence microscope. It is based on the phenomenon of fluorescence, means ability of that specimen to absorb and emit the light. That specimen, it will going to be absorb the light of one wavelength, and it will going to be emit the light of another wavelength. So on that phenomenon, that fluorescence microscopy is based. Another one is called the phase contrast microscope. It is also based on the phenomenon of phase contrast. Okay, so it is due to the difference in the thickness of the object, that light beam it will going to be diffracted, and that light beam it will going to be collected. So due to difference in phase, actually due to the difference in phase, a phase contrast is created. Then after that, here Van Leeuwenhoek descriptions of the bacteria. Leeuwenhoek, who was observed the microorganism first under this microscope, and who he was given some, he was note down some point from his teeth. He observed these. I was shown here some diagrams here pictures of these shapes of the different microorganism. Some are rod form, then motion pathways. Some are spherical form, a longer type of the spherical form, cluster type. Okay, all these are the observations of the Van Leeuwenhoek, who was first observed the microorganisms under the light microscopy. Then here, next one, there is a spontaneous generation controversy here. So here, in that two person who was given this contribution, Shevan and Louis Pasteur, Theodore Shevan and Louis Pasteur. So Theodore Shevan, who was developed a cell theory of the living organism, namely that he told that all living organisms are composed of one or more cell, and that the cell is the basic functional unit of living organism. So all living organism are composed of one or more cell, and cell is the basic functional unit of living organism, because living organism uh, are work so due to the cell. So cell is the basic unit of all the living organism which are present in the nature. Here, and living organisms are composed of one or more than one cell. So these observations was noted by a person that is called as a Theodore Chevon. Then Louis Pasteur is who person who was perform a famous experiment regarding the swan neck flask, and he was proved that the microorganism do not arise by spontaneous generation. Then golden age of microbiology, again in that Robert Koch, who was given a significant contribution, who was identified a bacterium as a cause of anthrax. Bacillus anthracis is the causative organism of the anthrax. So Robert Koch was identified that bacterium. Then he introduced the agar inoculating loop to transfer the bacteria, and he was prepared a pure culture of the microorganism. So first person that is called as Robert Koch, who was prepare a pure culture by transferring the bacteria on the agar surface with the help of inoculating loop. Then also he was introduced a Koch postulate and the concept that the disease is caused by the single organism. So without organism, disease cannot occur. So microorganisms, organisms are responsible for the disease. Next, another one person, Joseph Lister, who was introduced the antiseptic technique in 1865, antiseptic technique, and he explained the use of phenol as a disinfectant. Who was proved? Joseph Lister proved that phenol we can use as a disinfectant. And Martinus Bejernik, who was discovered the viruses, different types of viruses and infectious agent. Martinus Bejernik. Then Paul Ehrlich is a person who was introduced the concept of chemotherapy, was introduced the concept of chemotherapy in 1910. And also he was used of salvarsan for the treatment of syphilis, which is caused by the bacteria Treponema pallidinum syphilis. So here this Paul Ehrlich introduced this concept of the chemotherapy in 1910. Then Alexander Fleming in 1928 discovered the first antibiotic that is called as a penicillin in 1928. Then here these, which will lead eventually to the development of sterilization and development of aseptic technique. Then another some person who was proved that the microbe caused the disease. So in that, in 1546, Hieronymus Frustratius wrote on contagion, the first known discussions of the phenomenon of contagious infection. So this contagious infection was proved by the person that is called as Hieronymus Frustratius. Then Agostino Basidi Lodi, he showed that the disease affecting silkworm was caused by the fungus. Is the first microorganism to be recognized as a contagious agent of the animal disease, that is a fungus, which was proven by the Agostinito Basidi Lodi. Then Ignaz Semmelweis is one Hungarian physician who decided the doctors in Vienna hospital were spreading childbed fever. Then Louis Pasteur, who was discovered the germ theory, is the most important germ theory of disease, which was discovered by the Louis Pasteur. Pasteur fought to convince the surgeon and that germs existed and it carried the disease, and dirty instrument and hands spread germ, and therefore a disease. So this is a germ theory of disease. This Louis Pasteur was proposed the germ theory of disease in 1857. Then in 1867, Joseph Lister introduced the antiseptic in the surgery. So he proven that we can use the antiseptic in surgery. Then this person Robert Koch is one German bacteriologist, was the first to cultivate the anthrax bacteria. Then in 1884, Koch postulate was came in existence. Koch postulate in 1884 is a critical test for the involvement of microorganisms. According to this Koch, the microorganisms are involved in the disease. So he was given some postulates. So first postulate is that the agent must be present in every case of disease. So disease cannot be occur with the help of organism. So agent, that is a microorganism, it must be present in every case. Then agent must be isolated and cultured in vitro. That causative agent of the disease, it should be isolated and cultured in vitro. Then that disease must be reproduced when a pure culture of agent is introduced. That disease must be reproduced when a pure culture of the agent is introduced into the suitable host. Then fourth postulate is that this agent must be recoverable from the experimentally infected host, and it will lead to the development of pure culture techniques. So pure culture means actually it is a technique, is a use for the isolations of the single microorganism from the populations of the microorganism, that is called as a pure culture. So these three techniques are used for the isolations of the microorganism: pure culture technique, spread plate technique, and stick plate technique. So in that pure culture technique was developed by the Koch postulate, was first demonstrated by the Koch in 1884 that it is a successfully used for the isolations of microorganism. Then also we can prepare the smears for staining. So if you have to see the microorganism, we can prepare the smears. So a staining is a one technique which is used to make that microorganism visible. So by the staining, so staining nothing but it is a process of coloring, it is a process of coloring of bacteria. So by applying this stain, we can color this bacteria and we can see the bacteria under the microscope. So that is a staining. So staining is a technique which is used to study the morphology of the microorganism, staining technique. Then if you have to perform the staining, we have to prepare the smear. Smear is required. A smear we have to prepare from bacterial suspension. So smear is nothing but that it is a thin film of microbe solution on the slide. So we have to prepare the thin film of this bacterial suspension or solution on the slide, and that smear we have to be fixed on the slide with the help of heating. We have to heat that smear, means we have to pass this smear through the flame 3 to 4 times that slide. So after passing the slide through the flame 3 to 4 times, that smear it will going to be fixed on the slide and it will going to be kill the microbes. So after fixing the smears, we have to apply certain dyes on that smear. We have to apply certain dyes as per the staining. So there are different types of staining techniques are there. So staining technique are mainly classified in a two group: simple staining and differential staining. So as per the which type of staining we are performing, so as per that we have to apply the stains or dyes to make that microorganisms visible. So here this stain actually it is mostly it is of consist of positive and negative ions. So this if this stain or dye it is a basic dye, in that basic dye chromophore is a cation, means here main color giving group, that is called as a chromophore, which is present in that dye. So main color giving group it is called as a chromophore. So that chromophore is having a positive charge in case of basic dye, and in case of acidic dye this chromophore is an anion, means it will carry a negative charge. So here staining the background instead of the cell is called as a negative staining. If you are staining the background instead of the cell, so that staining is called as a negative staining. So in the negative staining, background is a stain instead of the cell, background is going to be a stain. Then this here I just mentioned some staining technique, simple staining and differential staining. A difference between these two staining technique, simple and differential. In that simple staining, we can use only one dye, staining with one dye here. In case of differential staining, we can use more than one dye here. Not only one, we require more than one dye in case of a differential staining. So in case of simple staining, we can use mordant is used to hold the stain or to coat the specimen to enlarge it. In case of differential stain, we can use gram stain, acid fast stain. These are the different types of differential staining are there here, which involve the use of more than one stain. Next difference is that gram stain and acid fast stain here. So in case of gram stain and acid fast stain, here in case of that gram stain acid fast stain, it will distinguish between gram stain. It will going to be distinguished between gram positive and gram negative bacteria. So a difference between the gram positive and gram negative bacteria, it will going to be identified by the gram stain. Gram positive bacteria are prone to the penicillins and other detergent, and gram negative bacteria mostly they are resistant to the antibiotic. Then in case of acid fast staining, actually it is used to stain the waxy cell wall. Actually this cell wall is having a more content of mycolic acid, so that is called as a waxy cell wall. So this waxy cell wall mostly it is present in the mycobacterium species, mycobacterium type of bacteria. This is mycobacterium tuberculosis and mycobacterium leprae. These are the two kinds of bacteria which are having the waxy cell wall. So this mycolic acid, due to the presence of mycolic acids, this cell wall nature is become waxy. So if you have to stain such a cell wall, we have to use acid fast staining. It is one special type of staining technique which use the mixtures of acids and alcohol to stain that one. Then so this much is about the introductions of microbiology. In that I was from initially I was discuss about first microorganisms and microbiology, a difference, what is a microorganism, what is a microbiology, then difference between microorganisms and microbiology, then themes, basically two main themes which is involved in the microbiology, then again sub classifications of the themes which is involved in microbiology, then microbes which are present in our lives. Then I was here mention some diagrams, then naming and classifying systems for microorganisms. So it's a linear system for scientific nomenclature. So as per the linear system, we have to write down the name of the microorganism as a genus and species name. Then classifications of bacteria, then difference between bacteria and archaebacteria, protozoa and algae. Actually these are the eukaryote, protozoa, algae, fungi, viruses, they are come under the eukaryotic category, and bacteria are come under the prokaryotic one. Then microscope is one instrument which is used to observe the specimens of microorganism which we cannot be seen by naked eyes. So microscope is the most important instrument which is required in microbiology practical. Then types of microscope, different types of microscope that we had discussed, then different parts of microscope along with their function also we had discussed. Then magnification, different types of magnification, history of microbiology, a different person who was given the contribution in the development of this field that I was also told. Then Robert Koch, Paul Ehrlich, Fleming, Louis Pasteur, these are the main person who was given the significant contribution to this field. Then Koch postulate is there. This is the most important discovery of this microbiology, or most important discovery of the microbiology is the Koch postulate. And how we can prepare the smear preparation, staining. Okay, this much is about. Okay, thanks.